the S26 Ultra is out, and honestly, after this phone's launch, I feel like my point of phones need to be launched only once every 2 years is kind of been proven because what does this phone have that's exciting and one that makes people want to upgrade to the latest Samsung flagship? Well, honestly, from everything I've seen, I think there's basically just two things. And one is actually a pretty good feature and pretty awesome feature in my opinion, and that's the privacy screen feature. Basically, what happens is when you turn this feature on, anyone who's at the who's right next to you can see the phone, and I feel like that's really convenient because a lot of people, when you use your phone in public, they do look at your phones. Even your friends might look at your phones, your family members, and it is kind of annoying when they're peeking at your phone. And this feature, from what I've seen, seems to be really good and works really well. And you don't even have to black out the entire phone. It actually works on a pixel by pixel basis, so you can just block out the notifications if you want, which is awesome. I feel like this is a really good feature, but I think there might be one drawback to it because it seems like when you turn the feature on, the phone immediately becomes less bright, and I think that's because the way the display works. Because I don't know the technicality, but apparently there's some half of the pixels are facing straight up and half of the pixels are facing sideways, and when this feature turns on, those pixels don't work or something. That's how this feature works, and because of that, I think the display is dimmer. You can actually see the display getting a little dimmer when this happens, and I guess that is a bit of a drawback, but I don't think it's a big deal because you can turn it off, and you don't, and the situation was where you want that kind of privacy. I think people will be willing to deal with it, the less brighter screen. And even if it does become a bit dimmer, this is a really bright phone, so you can just max out the brightness and use it. So it's not a big deal. And then there's the video stabilization, because the video stabilization, from what I've seen, seems incredible. Seems like magic. I mean, you can just turn the phone around upside down and bring it back up, and it still manage to stay stable. And even when you shake it really heavily, there's only a little shake, which is incredible and very useful for anyone who's blogging with their phones. I mean, they don't have to worry about anything if they're using this phone. And there are a lot of bloggers these days, a lot of influencers, and for them this is really useful. Now I think it's only for the back camera. I don't know if the front camera has that kind of stabilization. I only noticed I only seen the videos with the back camera, so I don't know. But still, for anyone using their phone for video purposes outside, it's an incredible feature. But I feel like that's about it. And then there's the new chip, and the new version of Samsung's One UI and all that. And basically, these two things are the only really exciting stuff. And sure, the new chip's more powerful and all that stuff, but I mean, at this point, that's not really exciting thing for anyone. And these two features, is it enough to make people want to buy a $1,000 plus, a 1 lakh plus Samsung flagship, when the older model you probably will get a discount in sales or something, with just only these two new things kind of missing? Yeah, this doesn't even seem like a compelling enough product, even though the two features that are there are really awesome. I feel like they could have just saved it and brought it out next year with maybe a new camera sensor or something. And oh yeah, I think the camera sensors do bring in a bit more light. They have a wider aperture or something. But still, even though that might be the case, unless it's a big leap, it's not gonna be enough. And from what I've seen of the camera samples, while it is better, doesn't feel incredibly better or anything like the next generation camera technology. And it doesn't feel like it's so good that it's gonna completely destroy the iPhone in terms of camera performance. So yeah, this thing not really the most exciting upgrade, and I feel like at this point, unless Samsung is planning on changing the entire camera sensor layout for next year and doing something radical with that, I think they should probably end up skipping it. And I guess, yeah, I think honestly most of the brands should end up skipping. Apple and Samsung, I think they could afford to skip a generation at this point because of the brand value they have. Now compared to the other brands, yeah, they still have a lot of catching up to do, so they can afford to do that. But Samsung and Apple have good hardware, good software, good camera performance, and the only thing they really don't have is the silicon carbon battery tech, and that's a whole nother thing. But these phones do still have great battery life, so it's okay. But yeah, I feel like it's about time that both these brands skip a generation. And honestly, for the next generation iPhones, I don't really know what's exciting that's coming for those phones, unless there's a camera upgrade. I don't think it's gonna be big. I'm guessing that they might end up having the same privacy screen feature as Samsung because they do use Samsung's display, so they could just get that display up on Samsung. It's not a big deal. But yeah, this is a kind of a boring and a dull release in my opinion. And considering the price of these phones now, if the phones were much cheaper or something, when this new phone's cheaper because or some whatever, that would be a big deal, but it's not. And considering the price of these phones, yeah, I don't think they're compelling enough. And I think most people are just gonna either buy the older phone at a discounted price or wait till this price becomes discounted at some point, doing some sale or something. So yeah, the S26 Ultra is a pretty boring phone in my opinion, and even with the two great features, I don't feel like it's a good enough upgrade. Unless you have a really a 3-year old Samsung flagship phone, yeah, it's not worth it. If you have a 2-year or a 1-year, not worth it. Just wait till next year or something for hopefully a newer camera sensors and all that. So yeah, that's what I think of the S26 Ultra.